know, for this wonderful hot summer, right? So, and who says climate change isn't real, right? So, it is wonderful to be with all of you. And give it up again for Misha. Wasn't he great? He was absolutely great. And Dr. Sierra Starr and Caitlin, Joshua, thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing your stories, because they are real stories of real people, real women, which is why we're all here. And in a moment, we're going to hear from a real person who I'm so proud of, our second gentleman, Doug Emma. So we're so proud that you are here to join us. And I want to start by saying this. Thank you, first of all, for all the work that we jointly put in 2 years ago to put into the Michigan Constitution the protection of our reproductive freedoms. Thank you for everything you did. Thank you. It wasn't easy, right? It took a lot. We had people standing in line till after midnight. Okay, think of that. And now, think of the fact that we have to do it again. We have to do it again. Because unfortunately, if Donald Trump is elected, if his MAGA Republicans are going into office, they rip all that away. In other words, what he wants to do trumps what we did. So, we have got to be really serious. So that is my first message to all of you. Really, really serious. And I know that's why you're all here. But 2 years ago, Trump proudly overturned Roe v. Wade. He said he was going to do it. And unfortunately, he had the capacity to be able to nominate and confirm new justices, 3 justices, that made sure that that happened. So now today, 1 out of 3 women in our country live in a state with severe abortion restrictions. 1 out of 3 women across our country. Now, we're really proud of the fact that we are not one of those states. And so proud, not only that effort, but what the governor did and our trifecta in the legislature, by the way, which we have to keep going. We have to keep this going. But we still don't know what the next step is. And over 170,000 women have traveled to other states to be able to save their own lives or to be able to get the care they want, many of them coming to Michigan. And so that's the state of play right now. And here's what we also know. National abortion ban, if they can't get that directly, they're going after medicine, mifepristone. We had a short reprieve with the Supreme Court, but they're coming back, there's no question. Most early abortion care is done with mifepristone, so that's going to go. And then they intend to go after an 1873 law called the Comstock Act, which would allow them to be able to stop medicine and abortion equipment and various things across state lines. Basically, 1873, that they want to resurrect. And if they did that, Trump could do it without Congress even acting. So this is serious when people say, oh, it can't happen, or they can't get all, every branch of government. They're not going to be able to do it. They don't need every branch of government to do this. They need Trump being elected, and then the bonus for them is if they get a Republican House and Republican Senate. So this is very serious stuff. And this week, we're going to see something else, which we anticipate will be a horrible decision by the U.S. Supreme Court related to whether or not an abortion law in Idaho, with its strict provisions that you can only step in the life of the mother, whether that means that when a woman in Idaho goes to the emergency room of the hospital, that she can't be treated if she is seriously ill. Because the law, federal law says if you take Medicare, and every hospital does, you have to treat everyone in the emergency room. But Idaho has said, and lower courts have said, no, you don't. And so what has happened there? Women have been told, go back out to the car and sit in the car, and we'll see how close to death you get. And then maybe you can come back in. That's the United States of America right now. So this is an all hands on deck moment for us. And we are very afraid that the U.S. Supreme Court is going to come down on the side of Idaho this week. Now, I hope not. But I wouldn't bet money on it, that they're not going to do that. So then what is the next thing? Well, birth control. IVF, we've already seen in Alabama through a Supreme Court case, being able to take away the ability to have in vitro fertilization when you want a child. You know, in talking to veterans, one of the most common things that we hear from male veterans, as well as female, is we want access to IVF so we can have children. If we were injured in war, serving our country, we want to be able to have access to IVF to have children. My colleague, Senator Tammy Duckworth, has two beautiful little girls after serving in Iraq and being shot down in a helicopter and just about giving everything, including her life, for our country. And she came back, and because of the miracle of IVF, he has two beautiful children. So we want to make sure that's protected and birth control is protected. So we thought, well, this is easy. We're going to put in a bill, which we did 2 weeks ago, first of all, that you have the right to birth control, to contraception. We bring it up on the Senate floor. Almost every Republican voted no. So then last week we brought up IVF, the right to IVF. And almost every Republican voted no. So I mention this to say, if people think this is only about abortion, it is not. It is about control over our lives. That's what it's about. So we're not going to let that happen. I mean, that's the bad news. Okay, here's the good news. With President Joe Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris, that will not happen. None of it will happen. That will not happen. And I have to tell you, I have such confidence in them. You know, 2 years ago, after this decision was made, the Biden-Harris administration went to work on what could they do through rules to protect women. We protect travel across states, to be able to protect access and be able to do all these things that would do everything they could within their power to be able to protect women, which is what they have done. Anyone who wants a baby, a pregnancy, or anyone who needs to make choices about pregnancies, no matter who you are, it's your decision to do that. And our president and vice president understand that to their core and believe in that. And so we've got some work to do. We've got some work to do. This is an all hands on deck moment, right? And we're going to rise to the occasion. We're going to make sure they don't rip away our reproductive freedom. Every person has a right to make their own decisions. That's what this is about. It's the United States of America. It's not 1824, it's 2024. So, we're going to do this together. We are going to do this together. And the person that's going to be right there with us, one of the great team that's going to be right there with us, is our wonderful second gentleman. You know, he's traveled to 40 states speaking out on behalf of all of us. Not only reproductive freedom, but for all the things that we want to make sure that everybody has a fair shot to succeed and work hard in this country and have what they want for themselves and their families, and that Americans are the best that we can be and have every opportunity to do that. He's been out spreading the word about what is at stake if the 34-count convicted felon, Donald Trump, gets elected again. Let me say that again. 34 convicted felon, not to mention he's batshit crazy. But our second gentleman, our president and vice president, to their core, get up every day caring about you and me and all of us. Donald Trump gets up every day caring about himself. So we know what needs to be done, and we are going to do it. And we're going to start right now by welcoming our second gentleman, Doug Emma.